Bless you.
Thank you.
You are quite welcome, sir.
All right, guys. This episode of Bad Publicity is brought to you by Face to Face Games. It's facetofacegames.com. We just want to bring some attention to a store championship that's going to be running face to face on February 27th. This is going to be in Toronto, Ontario at St. Michael's College. That's 81 St. Mary Street, Toronto. There's a Facebook events page that I'm going to link to the bottom. Just to cover some of the cool things that's going down. They're running a big event, Netrunner, X-Wing, Andromeda. It's almost going to be like a mini convention happening. Pre-registration gets you $5 off your entry. Definitely go check it out. Like I said, we're going to post the link down below. Mentioning Bad Publicity at the registration table will get you a bonus set of Bad Publicity tokens. So that's going to be pretty sweet. Guys, if you are anywhere near Toronto on February 27th, I think you should check this out.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah.
Play some
Go check them out. Why not? I mean, it's a store champ. It's post most wanted lists. This is what everybody wanted. Everybody wanted to play with things like you restricted. Go do it. Don't make excuses. Just do it.
Yesterday you said tomorrow.
God.
So yeah, they're gonna have food on site. They're gonna have snacks. It's just gonna be like a mini convention of FFG gaming. So, pack up your tackle boxes and head on out there.
Tackle boxes, man. Do people still use those right now?
I use it. Awesome, love it.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Sweet.
Also, guys, we know we're slowly trickling in some Patreon action. If you really like what we're doing here and have been, chilling with Bad Pub for a while, patreon.com/Bad Publicity. Throw a couple pocket change our way. Help us pay for the audio hosting and any other else improvements that we deem needed. Look at Miles right there. He doesn't have any headphones. help support the headphone fund. No, but all jokes aside, if you guys can, we'd really appreciate it. And we got some levels set there. We'd like to work towards really cleaning up Bad Publicity, and with your help, we can do it. So that's the name of the game off the top. We got the Patreon, and check out Face to Face Store Championships coming. Now let's get into the nitty gritty while we're here. We're going to talk about Criminal over the SanSan Cycle. Miles, why don't you just any summary? How was Criminal been over SanSan?
Well, Criminal's actually, it hasn't changed itself. It's just everything else got way better. That's the thing. Yeah, Criminal has just done a bunch of sideways stuff. You know what I mean? Criminal went sideways and did some cool stuff, but everyone else just went boop. And by everyone else, I mean mostly Anarch. So yeah, that's what I say about that. But we should go into more detail about everything. Specifically. All right. Well, okay. Since no one else is talking.
Yeah, Hollis. Yeah.
No, fine.
Hollis, you can take us in. We'll talk about the IDs first. The big one that was that actually did get used. A lot of people really tried to get this guy going. Was Geist.
Yeah.
Whenever you use a trash ability, draw one card. He had a link, which was nice, and he came standard at 45.15.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. Our Geist is pretty good. I think I always have a bit of a soft spot, and he's going to get better too. He's got some nice support cards coming up for him. He's not better than Andromeda, you know what I mean? Which is always the question. But in some cases, he can get some really interesting things happen that can't happen in Andromeda.
Right.
It is going to be a different play style for sure.
I think that when Geist first dropped, I think that a lot of people, he had that breaker suite that's like basically like it trashes itself, and that always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Though I know we'll get to those cards later, but they trigger off of his ability. But the problem is that by themselves they're really not very. It's not very sustainable. Like being able to break like that just isn't sustainable. So you're forced to put in a lot of other cards out of faction that kind of trash on top of some of these breakers if you want to get the most out of his ability right now. So just like Miles said, he'll probably get better. The fact that Cloneship is on the restricted list also probably doesn't help him at all either, because now, importing that, loses more influence for him, which really he just could not afford, to be honest. He couldn't afford to lose more influence.
And you don't want to Forger over Desperado either.
Yeah, exactly. Just not worth it.
You know what I really liked about this this cycle is that they introduced a new runner or a new identity here, but they really planned it out better, and they pumped a lot more pieces and support into the cycle to actually support the runner. It's not like, oh, I wonder what's coming next cycle, right? Like he even had in the pack that he came out in a lot of support for him already. So he was kind of good to go. But Miles, you didn't sound too enthusiastic about him though, right? Like,
oh well, I mean, he's good, but he's not god tier or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's really fun. I really like playing Geist because it's really exciting to draw cards. But it's one of these ideas where I play him and I do a bunch of stuff and I'm having a good time, and then I get to the end of the game, I'm like, oh, I've done a bunch of stuff but not really gotten anywhere. You know what I mean?
Hollis, your opinion on him change? I know when he first came out, you and me talked that we weren't too excited for him in general and his ability to build decks around and stuff like that. You kind of changed there.
Not so much. I mean, of course, I tend to I'm usually the kind of guy that's going to go towards things that are either super powerful based on like where the meta's kind of allowed it to be powerful, or just naturally just a strong ID, right? And Geist, it definitely was a card I saw and said, a draw ability? Like, are you kidding me? Like, this could be so amazing. But it's falling short because of all the shortcomings, right? Like, it could be very powerful, but there's also this fear, if they make too many things that uses Geist's ability, it's too strong. Because, I mean, basically, when we say trash abilities, we're normally talking about things that are, I guess I would say, instant action cards. And we've already seen, with the nerf of Cloneship, that, they have to be very, very careful with the power of instant action cards. So it's kind of like, for that ability, which is already powerful, draw a card whenever you use a trash ability to be strong, you have to also consider trash abilities in the game in general like that are instant aren't going to be very powerful either. So, I don't know. Like, I do think he'll get more support. In my opinion, he's gotten worse since when he's first come out. And just like Miles said, it's because everyone else has gotten better, and then this nerf on top of it. So, of Cloneship. So it just makes it so much harder to justify using Geist. Armand.
See, to me, it wasn't about power, and it wasn't about availability, and even with the most wanted list and stuff now, that ability and this ID didn't pull me in enough to want to explore various decks with him. I really looked at his ability and saw the cards that were available to me and said, how much variety is there in this kind of deck build?
Yeah.
And for me, someone that just likes to tinker around and kind of, go against the norm, you can't build him any differently. It's not like, oh, I'm going to try and build Geist with no trash abilities. Well, you can't do that, right? Like, you can't, there's no other way to build a Geist deck. You have to put trash abilities in there, or you're not taking advantage of it. So I mean, I do think as the pool gets better, he's going to get better, and he's going to become a powerful choice within Criminal, especially now that, the most wanted list makes us explore other options. He's going to be something to keep to keep an eye on in competitive play, because there was some very competitive Geist lists. Nothing that, like Miles mentioned, nothing that was, skyrocketing up the power rankings, but there was a couple that hovered around, mid-tier. And it's, as soon as a couple more cards come out with that trash can, he's only going to get better. The next ID that came out was, was very much in demand. There you go. He was the plugged-in winner. Laramy Fisk. The people wanted him. The people didn't play him when they got him, but they wanted him.
They didn't want the other guy. Okay. Can I talk about Laramy Fisk for a second?
You certainly can, my friend.
So basically, my thoughts on Laramy Fisk are, one of the most powerful dominant corp IDs in the game lets you draw one additional card per turn. Laramy Fisk is a criminal ID that gives every corp the ability to draw one additional card per turn. He's the worst ID in the game.
Done. He dropped his mic and he's left.
I wish you had. Did you drop it? I wish you could visibly drop it.
Sorry, my webcam was in the room.
I mean, I'll jump right in. I mean, so with NEH's ability, right? You get to mitigate whatever potential problem is generated, if there is a problem that's generated from drawing additional cards, right? Because you can say, all right, oh no, I've got too many agendas. Well, I've got this Jackson here, so let me just res it, overdraw, throw things back. Now, Laramy Fisk means that they can't mitigate it until their turn begins, which does make it I guess, okay. But again, the problem is that I think everyone saw this ID and said, oh my God, I'm going to be able to make my opponent draw a card with the run that I make, but then I can use the Fisk Investment Seminar, and then I'll make them draw 3, and then the turn begins, they draw 1. So when it's all said and done, the corp has 4 extra cards that they don't know what to do with. Well, that's not true, because they don't have to trash it in the next turn, and corps always know what to do when they have too many cards. They install a Jackson, they pitch things they don't need, they keep on going. And they shuffle those bad cards. So really what you're doing is you are actually helping them filter through their deck and find cards they do need. Find additional ice to protect their servers. Find additional economy cards to res that ice. And basically, you end up you can end up enhancing the corpse board state, which is the opposite of what you want to be doing as runner.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, and so it's one of those things. I mean, maybe if I want to. This is definitely getting into that theory crafting thing. If there was maybe one more cherry. Maybe if there was one more thing that said the corp is forced to draw, so at the end of my turn I have 11 cards, or something ridiculous, a ridiculous amount of cards, then I would kind of go, well, okay, all things considered, now I actually have too many. Now I'm legitimately so overloaded with options, I have to pitch good options that are going to help my deck. But as of now, his ability by itself is a mild inconvenience, and it seems to mostly only help the corp. So I can't really, I just don't, he's actually, unfortunately, the one runner ID that I actually looked at and outwardly said, I do not want to play this. I don't think this is going to be good. And I mean, that's unfortunate, because I see him occasionally online, and it feels like every time I play against this online, what ends up happening is they put me in a better position than I thought I was in. It's scary at first. The first time they use a Fisk Investment Seminar and then his ability, I'm like, oh God, we know what's happening. And then I realize, oh, I just drew 2 ice and a hedge fund. Well, okay, well, thanks. I mean, really, thank you. I mean, my board is set up. It's,
Yeah, this ability was something that me and my buddy Dustin, we were looking at, and he was really trying to build for a cool Laramy Fisk deck, but playing against him, say 50 times, I think 3 times Fisk Investment Seminar screwed me up from a corporation perspective. There was no times when they're like, here's some cards. Or was I like, oh my God, I'm screwed, panic, quit.
Yeah, nah. It just doesn't happen.
Draw, you know, in a card game, draw is everything. People put Jackson down, draw 2, and they overdraw, and then they just pitch, like you said, what they don't need. So, I mean, you're giving them free cards. It's just a weird. It's weird how this card works. It would almost be better in a different faction if this was maybe a Shaper card, and it was more R&D attack, because Criminal is so HQ attack. It's like if you could run R&D and it was like, instead of accessing the card after you see it, you make the corp draw it so you can get to the next card. So it was almost like a way of doing a little more R&D lock. Right?
It's funny. It's almost as if there should be like a runner console combo that does that. Is like that may or may not have been spoiled.
But so
Interesting.
Guys, we mentioned with Fisk a lot about Jackson. Do you think he's going to maybe come into play once Jackson has rotated out?
No, they'll do something to replace Jackson because that has to exist. Like they'll do something.
Hollis, what do you think? So if there was no Jackson, would he be playable?
Yes, I think so, because the Corp couldn't really save themselves from flood. But I mean, in general, I mean, you know, if I were to look at the scope of it, in general, Corps get way weaker and runners get way stronger if there's no Jackson.
Yeah.
Laramy would just exacerbate the issue that, you know, that we had before Mr. Howard came on the scene. But yes, I guess, yeah. If there wasn't a card like Jackson that so easily allowed you to pitch 3 agendas and throw them right back in the deck, yeah, he would definitely be better and help that, and basically, I guess, target that weakness that Corpse had before Jackson.
Because was this card designed before Jackson came out? Was plugged in? Did plugged in happen and then Jackson?
I don't know.
I'm not,
you know what? We can find out though. Hold on.
I'm not sure the timing on that, but well, I mean, it was probably all designed around the same time, right? Like Lucas knew Jackson was coming, and he made these identities, or someone under him made them.
The plugged in tour was between October 4th and November 3rd of 2013. Man, that was so long ago.
Yeah.
And the opening moves, release date. This is going to be. This came out in. I don't know. I bet Anchor has it though, because they usually have all the details like that. Yeah, I don't know when that actually came out. I can remember the date.
Oh well.
But yeah, the point is that I don't know. If someone in chat knows, let us know. But it's possible. I mean, it may have been that we didn't have Jackson at that time, and this card was stronger as a result. But I mean, just Jackson existing makes this card not even like. I mean, it's like, what are we doing? Like, why?
But it's still like he just doesn't have a lot of, other than Fisk Investment Seminar. There's just not a lot of cards that are tuned to work with him, right? It was just
agree.
this ID. Like you look at Geist, and like we just said, that he's got a lot of cards that work with him in this set. It's like Fisk came out in the last pack or whatever it was, and they're just like, and here's the one from the plugged in tour. Have fun.
And I mean, granted, I'm digressing a little bit here, but let's put things in perspective. We just literally came from a list. We just got the most wanted list where like there's like Lady and Clonship were like now more restricted. If we had voted the collective in, those cards would probably have existed while the collective was a card, which to me is nuts, because any Shaper deck at this point in my head having 5 clicks every turn is like crazy to me.
Yeah,
like, it's so powerful. But anyway,
and I mean, it's been said a million times. It was Laramy Fisk got the vote because everyone thought the other one was too overpowerful. So it was, you know, and they didn't want to give it to the collective, so Fisk got the vote. He's a cool looking guy, though. Yeah,
I hope in the future. I hope seriously in the future, the next time if they ever do something like this, don't let us vote on an ability of a card. Just show us artwork and let us choose the best art, and then you design a good ability on that art. I'd rather have like a universally good runner that everyone wants to play, as opposed to like, you know, two polarizing abilities. Like it was pretty clear that Collective was OP. Sorry, I know this is not on topic, but FFG, you know, please help, please.
All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes. Career Fair. Career Fair took the game by storm.
Yes.
0 to play event. Install a resource from your grip, lowering the install cost by 3. 1 influence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anarch was all over this. Anarch was.
Yeah.
You know, when Wooly and Spags put that in their, you know, looking for a job wizard deck, the rest of the world just followed and said, hey, yes, Career Fair is a phenomenal card. Installing, you know, your daily casts, installing your Earth Rises, just, you know.
Yeah.
This is tempo.
It really is. I mean, we've moved on. I think it's really weird to say, but we've a lot of decks have kind of moved on, with the exception of like Nexus Kate. Really, a lot of decks have moved on from like Magnum Opus, and that's because economy for like resources and events has been so efficient. You know, like, because granted, up until recently, we had prepaid, which that economy is nuts. I mean, effectively at some point in the game, it's 2 clicks 0 to gain 9, right? And then you have cards like Liberated Accounts where it's like, bam, here's gain 12 or whatever the number was. So Career Fair, and I mean, Career Fair being able to give you that huge discount on amazing resources that basically can make your entire game help build your board state is just nuts. I mean, I almost wish this card existed a year sooner even. This card is just literally that good. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think this card is here to stay. I think people will be experimenting or slotting this card into decks until it is officially cycled out.
Yeah. I mean, resources aren't going anywhere. I mean, we have decks that tag a lot, but, you know, those decks are also going to have some upcoming known weaknesses as well. So, I mean, resources are... I don't think resources are ever going away. A card that gives you... That's 1 influence that can be splashed in any faction, and just gives you a discount on builds that require resources. This is just excellent.
Yeah, so versatile.
Yeah.
Maz, do you have any thoughts on this before we flip it, or?
Not really. It's unspectacular, but great.
All right, next up we have a card that saw play. You know, at first it was hailed as the Caprice Killer. This is Driveby. 0 to play again. An event that's double. Expose 1 card installed in a remote server. Trash that card at no cost if it is an asset or upgrade. 2 influence.
I think it's pretty solid. The number of times that this has blown up a SanSan for me is just frankly disgusting. Yeah, like, it's pretty good. You usually see it as a 1 or maybe 2 of in most criminal decks, I would say.
Yeah, it didn't really get the love that it needed to, right? Like, I think if you're playing criminal, like a 1 of this card is perfect, especially you know, with all that Ash and Caprice action still hanging around. I
think Breaker Bay hurts this as well, because a lot of players in certain matchups, what you'll do is you'll just res everything that's going into your Breaker Bay server. You know what I mean? Because Queen's Gambit and Drive-By both exist. So if I'm playing Food against Anarch or Criminal and I'm slapping Econ assets and ashing a priest down, they're just getting res because it's free. So I think
you're saying people aren't leaving it on the board for that turn, for the ability to play Drive-By.
Yeah, exactly. I think the popularity of food courts and that, you know, particular setup with that that remote that they get sort of hurts this card as well, because of just how ubiquitous that deck is.
Yeah.
Hollis, what do you got to say about this? You think it was underappreciated?
I don't know if it was underappreciated. I mean, it definitely changed the way I've had to play certain decks, right? Like RP, I definitely couldn't, playing against a criminal deck, I definitely couldn't, you know, ignore that I couldn't ignore that this card existed. I mean, it got to the point where soon I had to, like, if I knew I was playing a criminal, I would install Caprice, and their turn would begin, and I would be like, action, and I'd have to wait for a second. I'd be like, all right, so you don't have it. I'm gonna risk Caprice now. Let's go ahead and just get that out of the way, so this doesn't.
See, maybe that's the thing. Is I think that too is that you said if I was playing criminal. I didn't expect to see this anywhere outside of criminal.
Yeah.
And I'm not a criminal player, so I wasn't really using it.
Right.
But if I was, I think I would put it in. But we just didn't see that many people running criminal right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it kind of got left behind or overshadowed by other things, because nobody's really going to spend 2 influence right now to put this out of faction.
It also goes, occasionally it just goes like hilariously wrong too, like real badly. Like not even the psychic, there's the psychic field blowout, which I've never ever seen happen. But what I'm really talking about is when you expose it and it's actually an agenda and you've spent 2 clicks finding out it's an agenda and now you can actually be in real trouble.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God. Yeah.
So there's Drive-By. It did see play, but not overly.
Not as much as people thought.
What do you guys think going forward? Are we going to see Drive-By? I think it's going to be in a weird way, as someone's going to have it as a surprise. If you go to a tournament, someone's playing criminal, I think there's like a 20 or 30% chance they're going to have one Drive-By. I don't think people are grabbing this card first.
I feel like this card, I think sometimes FFG makes cards and then a cycle goes by and they make a different version of that card as sort of an apology. Like, I know that sounds really silly and dumb, but like, so they have Drive-By, and Drive-By wasn't the card we needed, but it was the card we deserved. And so now we know that Political Operative is coming, and we know that Councilman is coming, which I think collectively they share the space that Drive-By tries to take up also. And they're either neutral or less influence, right, Miles?
No, I can't remember which is which, but there's the one criminal. One of them's criminal and one is neutral for, I think, 0 influence.
But they're not doubles, though, are they?
No, they're not. They're reasons.
Right, so, I mean, like...
But the other funny thing is that Drive-By is arguably doing the same thing for unregistered Smith & Wesson. Remember that one?
Yes.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
and Drive-By is like better version of this, and they're like, oh, shit, it still doesn't work. We better do this.
Yeah. So, if people are still playing it, sure, but I think what's going to happen, anyone that would basically think of slotting Drive-By, I think is going to end up instead slotting in something like Councilman or Political Operative.
Yeah, that's a fair call. And they are 2 of the cards that make Geist better too, particularly whichever one the criminal one is, which I think is Political Operative.
Yeah.
Well, here's the big event that we were referring to, is the Fisk Investment Seminar, 0 to play. It's event priority, which I think, if anyone's experimented with this, already handicaps this card as it is. Play only as your first click. Each player draws 3 cards, and it's 2 influence. It's just, you can't even same old thing this over again if you're Fisk.
I think this is this really shines in those Faust Gabe decks, which I've been saying for a while are really nice. So it feeds your Faust, number 1. But the best time to use this card is when they're trying to recover from a siphon. Because if you can pull that, then that is a problematic situation. If you can get them really low because you're playing an aggressive siphony deck, get them low and play this, that causes them problems. It's also quite nice in Lila, weirdly. I like it better in Lila than I do in Fisk. But I like everything better in Lila than I do in Fisk. But yeah, it's... I think this one has use, but it's not amazing. You can't just play it willy-nilly. You can't play it like a diesel. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. It everything depends on the corp situation about how much value you're getting out of this card.
Yeah, if the corp has 27 credits, you don't want to play this card. And it sucks because you might need to draw cards to find your answer to their 27 credits.
Do you think it would have made it too overpowering if it wasn't play on your first click?
Well, I think they were trying to avoid that thing that I was talking about with siphon, where you can siphon them to 0 and then be like Fisk, 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 if you know what I mean? Because that would be really crap.
Yeah.
That would be really tough. So I'm guessing that's the reasoning for it.
Yeah,
Like
I think it was to mitigate the investment seminar spam, but it really hurts an event when you can't same old thing it, you know?
Yeah.
Hollis, you got anything else to say about the investment seminar? I know we covered most of it, you know. We could just have a footnote here and just say, see Laramy Fisk discussion.
See Laramy Fisk discussion. It's just...
All right.
But I think the best points are what Miles said there. If you're playing a Faust deck, this is going to feed it, help you. It's almost like a mini stim hack for your Faust, right? Like blue, get some cards, and then punch in. That's all the events. We're going into hardware now. This is a 0 to play hardware, which is always nice. But let's continue. Place 4 power counters on dorm computer when you install it. Click, use a power counter, make a run, avoid all tags for the remainder of the run. 1 influence. Dorm computer. Hollis, you want to start with this? How many decks did you build with dorm computer?
Okay. Currently none. However, I actually do like this card. And I know it's really weird. I think this is the definition, I think, of a meta-dependent card. And for a moment, we were seeing Sync go nuts. Because to me, Sync is one of the most annoying decks to play against. If you know what I'm talking about, the Sync decks that use GFI, Quantum Predictive Model, and News Team, and they use psychographics, and like Bill and Astro. Like, it's so annoying because there's so many ways to get either give the court points or take negative points. Yeah. And for a while it was so annoying because this card is 1 influence and it's 0 to install, and its hosted agenda counter ability costs a click but also gives you a run. I mean, it quite literally is the most fair meta card I've ever seen in my life. Like, one of the most fair meta cards I've ever seen. So I could always see myself throwing this down if I was criminal, goodness, and being able to say, all right, I just make a run on R&D, or whatever the case was. Make a run on R&D, and I look at one or two cards from RDI, and I avoid a tag from Gutenberg and from Data Raven. Like, you can't tag me. You cannot tag me during this run, except, have to deal with the Data Raven trace. And then I've looked at cards. I've not worried about any tags. I don't have to remove any tags. And that just seemed like it was very, very, it was a nice extra bonus.
Yeah, it was a nice setup card for things that are coming, right? Like, they knew all the tagging that was going to happen in Data and Destiny. This card comes out. Miles, with people maybe exploring new options now that Desperado is heavily influenced taxed, do you think Dorm Computer is going to be able to, see a little more play?
Well, it's not a console. So it's not actually the same role as Desperado. It's not actually a console. I think I agree with Hollis on this. This is a safety valve card. They've said before that they release answers before questions a lot of the time, and I think this is just one of those situations. It exists in case the entire meta turns into Sync. I think that's exactly why it exists. It's just a safety valve they released a little bit early. And for that purpose, it's quite good because, as Hollis said, that Sync deck is quite good. The only downside is it's one of these things you need to be really sure you're going to hit something, because you wouldn't want to use this to go into R&D and see one card. You want to use it when you think they've got a quantum predictive model behind a Data Raven, or you've got 3 RDI or something. You know what I mean?
But how much play are we going to see it with the new Shaper, though? Right, like the new Shaper. If you're worried about tags, are you kind of more gravitating towards her, where she avoids the first tag that you encounter in her?
I don't know. Well,
or do you think it needed to be?
She comes with that console already, though. That console seems designed to work with her, so which is the one where you put a card to the bottom of R&D and you take a tag if you do so, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she seems designed to work with that, but I guess that combos with this as well.
Or do you think it's just a way to avoid tags in a different faction just to balance it out a bit?
Yeah, I think it's not going to necessarily see play in the near future. I think it exists. I think, as I said, it exists in case everybody starts running data open QPM, and that's everything in your meta.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, zero to play is always really nice. And, you know, do you remember there was a time when people were running one silencer just because of power shutdown?
Oh, yeah, that was a
right.
time.
So it was like, I'm going to protect my Desperado with the silencer.
Yeah, but I mean, I've never been a fan of that logic. I think you just have to play around and stuff. You just have to use play skill. So because we have finite deck slots, so I'm almost always at the school where you put play skill above silver bullets. Because yes, it's zero cost, but you have to put it in your deck. And what are you taking out to put this in?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what Criminal can do with this. It might be worth some tinkering around with if we see a lot more tagging and NBN going that way, with NBN getting hit with on two major cards on the most wanted list, you know, and the popularity of some of these heavy tagging decks coming out. It might be worth an experiment, but is there deck slots for this? That's the question that will have to be asked. Forger is up next. This is a one-cost piece of hardware console. Gives you an extra link, always nice. It's a trash, avoid or remove one tag, limit one console per player, one influence. This one did see quite a bit of play because a lot of people were experimenting with Geist. I think it kind of just fills his niche there as the trash ability. I didn't really see it combined anywhere else.
Yeah, I even disagree with that, funnily enough, because I think this is one of those trap cards that you put in, because when you're building my first Geist deck, you know, and you go, hey, this has got a trash icon on it, I better put it in. And then you do a bit more and you realize that it should be Desperado.
Yep, 100%.
Yep.
Right. What's the future of Forger?
I mean, let's be totally candid about it, right? So, I mean, like, for tag removal, right? You know, it says avoid or remove. So, I mean, for tag avoidance, I mean, we already have Dorm Computer. We just talked about it. But, like, from core set, we have Decoy. I don't like the card, but we have New Angeles City Hall. There is an event card in Criminal that will let you draw cards on top of removing tags. Lawyer Up, I think.
It's all tags full stop.
Yeah. So, like...
The paper tripping?
Yeah.
That's priority.
Criminal has so many ways in faction to remove tags. And this takes up the console slot. It adds a link, which right now I don't think does I don't think it does anything, really. Because, I mean, link, whatever. And you trash it to use this ability. It's just not, no. My answer's no. That's my answer.
You know what the only weird play that I saw this with is with Geist. They were using the Forger to get the extra link because it was cheap to install. And then they were using Sunny's Clouds, right? So they had two.
Why are you saying Geist? Huh?
I don't know. I'm just saying that's where it was. That's where I've seen it.
Okay.
Not in this house. I've seen it.
I would not do that. I would not bring that in this family. I would not.
So there's Forger. The last piece of hardware, I think it's the last one, is titanium ribs. This was a new subtype that we got introduced during this cycle with the cybernetics. It's 1 to install, which is nice. Criminal got really cheap hardware. 2 influence. When you install titanium ribs, you suffer 2 meat damage. You choose the cards from your grip to trash whenever you take damage, including the damage taken by installing titanium ribs. Guys, I never saw this played one time. thumbs down.
I mean,
Next.
yeah, I mean, like it's almost embarrassing that I don't have words. Like, let me read it again. Hold on.
Yeah. I'm just going to duck out for 1 second. Sorry, guys.
You're fine.
Basically, it just lets you choose the cards when you take damage, right? So,
no. I mean, we live in a world of Plascrete, right? Plascrete's in the game. If you need it, Crash Space is in the game. Maresh Bodysuit is in the game. I mean, I think the focus for most people turns into mitigating and preventing the meat damage, as opposed to I'm taking the meat damage, and now I get to choose the cards that are trashed.
No, but it's any damage.
Oh, it's any damage?
Yeah, you choose the cards from your grip to trash whenever you take damage. It's just telling you that you suffer 2 meat damage.
I think this card... no. I think this card is... it's so weird, because, I mean, like, okay, so, you know, PE and kill decks in general that were using net damage haven't been really, really popular lately in the meta. And that's, you know, that's for a whole lot of reasons, but the primary reason, I believe, is because we've had cards like I've Had Worse, and we have Kate, which at the time was running Deus Ex, and Levy. So, I mean, those cards just came right back. And Criminal also took a dive in the current meta. So not only do we see that, you know, decks that could mitigate net and meat damage pretty well, or any kind of damage, but we also saw a low amount of Criminal that needed to be played. And they kind of had the same problem where they kind of just said, I'll just take the net damage to the face because no corp is really doing net damage right now. The corps that are killing people doing meat damage, I have an answer for this. I can run 1 or 2 Plascrete and solve that problem. So I don't have to worry about, you know, cards really getting trashed. My worry is just, because I can stop cards from getting trashed to begin with, there's no real concern about me choosing the cards to get trashed. So, I mean, in general, adding all that up, PE wasn't really popular in the meta over the last year or so, right? Or any kill deck based on net damage hasn't been super, super successful in the past year. And then you have the fact that all the decks that are the most popular easily mitigate damage because they either recycle their deck or they run enough protection. So then you look at that and you go, all right, and then the card, the meta shifted, so this faction, Criminal, has the worst mitigation possible for damage. Like, this isn't even preventing damage. This is just
choosing.
I mean,
it's nice. I mean, there's many times when someone's doing damage against me and I'm holding my hand out and I'm like, there's one card in here, please don't pick it. Please don't pick it. Boom, they pick it.
The thing is, though, that we already had counterplay for this in Criminal. Well, not in Criminal, but feedback filter is one influence. And the game plan against PE for Criminal for a long time has just been security tests against all their empty remotes, make infinite money, and then you just feedback filter everything. You know what I mean? Like, it's much better to just not take the damage.
Mm-hmm.
In the first place.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also working for brain damage and meat damage as well. But do we have an official ruling? What happens if you play this against Chronos?
We do, but I can't remember because it's literally never happened in real life.
This is so...
Yeah, there is a ruling. I could Google it, but it never actually comes up. It's just people.
And Dodge Pong in chat said, I've had worse synergy. Yeah.
Yeah, but who cares?
I think he was just for chuckles.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Zanasa says, you pick on your turn, Kronos picks on their turn. Okay. Cool. There you go.
Whoever turned this has priority when playing versus Kronos. Okay.
This is a rerun. This isn't a rerun. This is live, baby.
All right, guys. So that's the hardware there. So didn't see any titanium ribs. Nobody paid to get those installed. moving into the criminal programs now, and I think we can say that we've all seen these because of the amount of people that were testing with Geist. Whether they stick around, that's probably the big question. First up is Crowbar, one to install, one MU. This is the decoder. Obviously, if you have 2-link, it doesn't cost anything because it's cloud. Crowbar has +1 strength for each installed icebreaker. Trash, break up to 3 code gate subroutines, 2 influence. Are you not entertained?
Yeah, and they're all the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Each of these.
They're all functioning the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, these kind of, as I said, I mean, this and the Geist discussion are basically the same thing. But I always think the best thing, if you want to play, this deck with the Cloud Breakers and Geist, I think you aim to use these to put on pressure early. So you throw down your siphons and maybe snipe an agenda or 2 out of a remote while you're transitioning into a proper rig. I think that's the best use for these.
So yeah, you're using these in addition to a full set of breakers.
Yeah, you use these to pressure the corp early because they're cheap. So you're going through and you'll use your siphons and I don't know if you have makers or high impact stuff basically to put the pressure on early. And then as you do it, you're drawing into your real rig that you can use in the end game.
Man,
Hollis, you got anything to say? Like, I mean, we might as well go through like Crowbar and Shiv.
Shiv and Spike. I mean, I'm 100% on the same page as Miles. I mean, I think the biggest mistake a Geist deck can make, and again, I don't mean just go back to Geist, but these are basically made for Geist. The biggest mistake that a Geist deck can make is only including these and not including a standard breaker suite. Because you need consistent breakers that are going to be in. I don't care if you got to, flex in like a Zoo Keymaster so you have a permanent code gate that takes no MU. Like you need to put regular break, or the old Sunnies. You need to put regular breakers in. I'm thinking about something interesting because I've never actually played with these. The pips are 2 influence, right? So I wonder if the reason why they're not 1 influence is because of Nexus Kate. Could you imagine, like, Nexus Kate would be able to install these and clone ship these in faction and recur clone ships and levy this? Like, if
that's not, I mean, your runs would cost basically 0.
Yeah, like, isn't that nuts? Like, if these were 1 influence and they could be kind of flex and Kate somehow, these could be super efficient with like Nexus Kate. Because you bypass the big thing, or any piece of eyes, and then these just come into play easily and just break everything. It's kind of interesting.
Oh, people will be checking your Twitter feed for when you post that deck.
Oh my god, man, the jank is real. But I don't know. I kind of feel like, in general, them being 2 influence kind of just kills them being played anywhere else. I think. I don't think you're gonna play these breakers in any other ID. Why would you put it in Sunny when Sunny already has some okay breakers? You know what I mean? It's just not. It's really not worth it. So I'm very disappointed. I think actually that's my word. I think these are a little disappointing, a little bit.
Well, because it's really hard to build them up, like the strength on these. So.
Can I just share a quick anecdote, which is to do with this?
Mm-hmm.
I played a game a little while ago against my mate Michael, and I had a little engine on R&D, on HQ, and he wanted to siphon or something. So I ran into it, and then had this one click where he was like clone shipping, street peddling, and he drew like 4 or 5 or 6 cards, and he was just bang, 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 and eventually he managed to get 7 breakers installed so we could get through this little engine like 1 time.
Oh my god.
Failed to do anything, but it was pretty amazing.
Horrible.
It was like 1 click, installed out 4 breakers. It was great.
God,
anyway, that's the cloud breaker story.
Yeah, just not these poor cards. Like, it's suboptimal breakers made for a suboptimal ID. Like, it hurts my soul. Like, I don't know. It hurts.
But that's all the programs they got. That was it.
Oh man.
That's fine.
Getting into resources. This card was definitely used. You'll probably be able to get the new full alt art for it soon.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
This is Drug Dealer. It costs 1 to put into play. It's a resource. Connection. When your turn begins, lose a credit. When the corpse turn begins, draw 1 card. I mean, anybody who was at World saw this ram down your throat in those Val decks that were going around.
Hey.
Oh, but it's just, God, it's so good though. It's so good in so many places. Let's talk about all the ways that this card is good. 1, Faust is really good. Okay, Faust eats card. You can put this, if you put 3 Drug Dealer and 1 or 2 Faust in like any deck, it becomes a lot better.
Yeah, I was
like,
just gonna say it stacks, right? It stacks.
Like right away, which is slightly good and slightly bad because it means that a lot of people are posting bad decks and saying they're good because it has Drug Dealer and Faust in it. It is amazing. It's really, really good in Gabe. I love it to bits in Gabe because you're making money back all the time. You know what I mean? You can sort of deal with it. It helps you not die.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. It is bad against Sweeps Week. But apart from that, it's good. It's good all the time.
And if you're having real trouble with it, you just slide a Dr. Lovegood in and blank it on your turn, right?
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
if you want to be really spicy, if you want to put it in. This is one of those aforementioned bad decks, but it's good because it has Drug Dealer and Faust in it, though.
No, I
just splurged all over that. Does anyone else have anything
No,
else?
No, I think you're completely right. I mean, even if you only have 1 in play, if you're versus anybody that's doing like a kill strat, it is amazing that one other card,
Off turn.
combined with like a Plastreet off turn, basically just saves your life, right? If you steal an agenda, or they do their what were those decks? It was the Harp 24/7 decks. Literally having like a Plastreet and like having a
6
Plastreet
cards.
and 6 cards like just changes everything. Because now it used to be they can go 24/7 scorch and just eat through things, or even weirder, they would do things like like give you the tags, and they would do like traffic accident double scorch. You can't. That doesn't work. It just doesn't.
Yep.
It doesn't happen the way you want it to anymore.
This is a definition and perfect formula for a card that I love as someone who likes to wrap their head around different weird builds sometimes. It's got a little bit of negative and then the positive. So you're trying to balance that out, right? And work with each of them. It's a very cheap card to put into play, and it's very low influence to splash, so it can go anywhere. Just a really, really great designed card.
Yeah. I agree.
And since we're looking at the end of the cycle and going forward, I don't think this card is going away. I think this card is something that I don't know how the popularity, if it'll be anything like it was when this cycle closed, but it's going to stick around. It's a really good engine.
That's great. It's a good card.
Yeah.
It's really good. Someone got us in chat saying best card, criminal card of the cycle. I am inclined to agree with him there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Up next is a genetics resource. This is enhanced vision. It's 1 to put into play. It's a whopping 3 influence. And it says the first time you make a successful run each turn, the corp reveals 1 card at random from HQ. Watch out, fellas. This little lady's on the prowl.
I love the art on this card. Yeah. I love the art. So this is like all expose effects, in my opinion, where just use your face. Just go find out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's always my opinion on these kind of effects. Drive-by is different because it trashes too, but all we're doing is getting information that you could have got by just going and sticking your face into HQ and rummaging around in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're criminal, so you're doing it anyway, right? Like all your stuff all your bonuses in faction are for HQ. And I think I'm the kind of person that if I put this in my deck every time I go to reveal one card at random, it's going to be an agenda, and every time I go to access a card at random, it's not going to be an agenda. So I would rather just leave this card out and just take my chances, like you said.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hollis, you got anything for this quickly? I mean,
Hard to find for a deck slot for this. I think the fact that it's passive and it can just sit and just give you info is very cool. But deck slots are tight, and I'd rather have something actively helping me win, I think, than just infiltration on a random card in HQ. I could see an agenda, but I could also just see a hedge fund, and I would be like, well, who cares? So.
Up next was an amazing card that I really liked from a deck building perspective. This is Gang Sign. This is 1 to put down. It's a virtual resource. Costs 3 influence. Whenever the corp scores an agenda, access 1 card from HQ. This is just so cool. My latest soiree is I've been playing this in an Atom deck, and it's just really cool because Atom gives you that extra access anyway. So I put one of these down, the corp scores an agenda, and I'm accessing 2 cards off him on their turn. If I can run 2 of these in a version of Atom that I was doing, so I was accessing 3 cards off turn. So it was really cool, and it was doing a bunch of work. But it's really strange because I think that you're going to get the reverse luck that someone's going to tell you how flooded they were when you don't have it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it just seems when you have these in play that you're not really scooping the agendas that you think that you're going to be able to get.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's like, you can say that for any HQ access, though, really.
Oh, yeah, 100% for sure.
I actually really like the idea of putting this in Atom. I'd never thought of that. That's quite cool. I like that. Good stuff. Look, I reckon it's okay. It's kind of cool in Leela. I don't think it's like amazing or anything, but I like it and I like playing with it. It can be really stressful as corporation because it can really screw with your scoring windows.
The only thing you have to watch out for when playing with Atom is that it can really lower your credits count if needed, because Atom has to trash the first trashable card that he gets per turn.
Yeah.
So if on their turn, if you access a trashed card, or you have to pay it off.
What I do like about the card is, like you said, it's passive, right? It's a passive access, which to me is that's actually stronger than just the expose that we saw from Enhanced Vision. It's a card, and I feel like this card, you have to respect it when you see it in play. I have lost games because of this card.
Yeah.
And it does make scoring a little odd. Like I've been in scenarios where my opponents had maybe 2 of those. Really, I wouldn't say weird decks, but decks that are geared to use it, where my opponent had like maybe 1 or 2 of those, and like an HQI. And I'm sitting here with a hand of 5 cards, and I have only 1 agenda, but the agenda is not a safe agenda, and I have an agenda ready to score. So I'm actually looking at this going, all right, so the best thing to do here is to try to set this up so I can maybe pitch this somewhere before I score this agenda, and they get nothing. There's no chance they'll hit anything. But then I'm having to weigh that out. I'm saying, okay, well, I can hold this agenda in hand, but I'm taking a risk here. They're going to get access 2 times 2. So the odds are good that they hit this other agenda in hand. It does make playing against it kind of weird. Mm-hmm. I would say it honestly sometimes makes me more inclined to rush when I'm not flooded, just to completely avoid that that risk where they'll access agendas I could be holding in hand. So I don't know. I don't think it's played very much anymore. I know Gang Sign Leela was a thing for a bit.
Yes.
I played it. It's fun. I liked it.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's worth playing now. I don't know.
It's nice. So Leela's quite good against Fast Draw, right? Leela has a really nice matchup there, and Fast Draw, you do tend to have more than one agenda in hand. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But it happens pretty often because you have 11 agendas in the deck. So, it does work there. And as you said with HQI, it does incentivize you to use that, which then incentivizes you to use Sneak Door so you can get some good synergy going on there. Yeah, it's fun. It's good. It's pretty funny when you play this with, if you are co-op and you have like the team sponsorship and Turtlebacks kind of deck, and they have this because it's like, how many things can you possibly get to trigger off scoring an agenda in like one shot?
Yeah,
which is pretty exciting. Yeah, I reckon it's a pretty okay card. That's what I think.
Yeah, and anytime that you can have actions on the corporation's turn, just for having a card in play, like Drug Dealer, like Gang Sign, you're really working both sides, and I think that's things to look for in the future of the game. People talk about how much you can do on a click compression. I think it's going to be how much you can do off turn.
Yeah.
Yep. Next up is the resource connection again. This is Myrtos gang member, 0 to install, 2 influence. When you install this card, the corp must derez a card. When gang member is uninstalled, the corp may res a card ignoring the res cost. Trash, draw 1 card.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very, very situational though. Like really situational, because to use it effectively, you basically need them to have like 1 or 2 pieces of ice up, and they have to be expensive. Because if they have a couple of bits of ice up and one is a pop-up window, this is not doing anything at all. Yep. And I've had it used against me effectively once, but most of the time it doesn't seem to do very much.
No, this doesn't strike me as a card that you should be examining and experimenting with, just because it's, like you said, Miles, is so situational of when you can get it. If obviously you want this for early game attack, but like you said, early game there's not that much expensive ice that they have rezzed.
Yeah, I mean the one time that it's worked against me was I had to put.
Were you playing Blue Sun?
No, no, I was playing NEH, and I had against Andromeda, and I had to put Little Engine on HQ because it was my first turn, the first dice I had, and the account siphon to force me to res, and then installed this, so that was pretty good, but I don't think it's going to happen very often.
Yeah, and it was just cleaned up in chat though. This does say that it must derez a card. They're not specifically saying ice. But every time I've played it, most of the time it's you're hoping for the ice to get derez to get in.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah, and this card forces you to play in a very particular way, because you have to. To me, it's like Miles said, it's mostly useful really versus ice. So you kind of have to play it where it's like, I run, you res, Muertos, done. And then you're waiting again. You're going, all right, so no ice is res. I run, you res, Muertos. Yeah. Because if you have multiple ice res, you're going to res the least expensive one, or derez the least expensive one. So it comes down to, it's primarily what's it called? It's primarily an E shutdown on just one piece of ice that's rezzed, and it can be the only piece of ice rezzed. And you better hope that the card does not end up getting trashed. Because I'm assuming when people are running Muertos, they're never actually triggering that ability. I would hope not. Not if they're actually... It's not if it's a denial strat, because that just seems like that can be so dangerous in late game.
Yeah. Cool.
Do you think this card has a future?
Well, I mean, it is okay in that headlocky kind of deck, but the Raina headlock thing, it is alright there, but that deck has just lost influence. So, pretty tough to say.
Yeah.
Maybe you do that. I mean, Clone Chipping Presentus was really strong in that deck, so maybe you use these instead of Clone Chip, but that's probably a really bad idea. Yeah.
Hollis, your favorite card here, Rolodex.
Oh no! What? Hold on. What?
Resource.
Not in this house, Jameson.
Not in this house.
Not in this house.
Rolodex is a virtual resource. When you install Rolodex, you look at the top 5 cards of your stack, You arrange them in any order. Any order. When Rolodex is trashed, trash the top 3 cards of your stack.
Yep.
Hey, is precog good? Precog a top 2
Yeah,
card?
this is literally a card that exists in the game of Netrunner. And
I use this card to set up all my windfalls.
It's that freaking monolithy windfall deck thing, you know. It's one of those insane decks where you just want to do your combo, you know, and you want to do your one combo that's really insane, but you'd never win the game off your combo. You just make 18 credits, make 18 credits all the time.
Horrible. It's horrible.
Well, yes. As soon as I get my 18 credits, it's just a forfeit, right? Like, bam! I did it. Goodbye.
I would probably concede. If you did it, I would concede. I would let you have that. I would let you have
Sure.
it. I'd be like, all right, you got me.
Okay.
But
I have never seen this card used. I haven't used it.
Why does it need the second effect?
Yeah, for sure, right?
Like, if it wasn't already not gonna be like, if it wasn't already not gonna be played, why give it the effect that trashed the top 3 cards? Because
it's so that you can arrange them so you have 3 dead cards, and then you sell it with Aesop's next turn, and then you're really smart.
God, oh my God, oh
Right?
my God.
Oh my God. And then the next one's Monolith and you windfall. Yeah, it's pretty dumb. Precog's bad. Some people think that putting cards in a certain order is a good thing, and this is a good way for them to learn that it's a bad thing. So maybe we take that approach.
Wait, Waka Wolf says Rolodex doesn't work with windfall.
What?
Is there...
Why? Oh,
What?
because windfall's like shuffle, isn't it?
Oh my God, is it shuffle? Oh my God.
Oh, that's right. Thanks, Waka Wolf. We were about to make a bad deck. I was going to take
What's
that
funny-
to a Storm Championship. You saved me.
I always worry sometimes when we talk about cards. If we say something is bad, people will listen and they'll go, "Oh really? Oh really? You guys think it's bad? I'm gonna prove you wrong." And that's fine. I mean, actually, that's actually kind of cool. But I mean,
Everyone's like, Windfall. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what Windfall does, guys.
but I have to tell you, like, Rolodex is just not. I don't think. If you're playing, okay, here's something really cool. If you were ever in your life considering this, the card you should be playing instead of it is
Woman in a red dress.
No. It's in faction. It's the oh god, the clone card. What's it called?
Express Delivery?
Express Delivery. If you were gonna look at the top 5 and arrange them in the order, you should instead look at the top 4, choose one, and then shuffle your deck again. Like, that is better than looking at top 5. And then trashing the top 3 when that card goes away.
That card's never going away.
Gosh, man. Horrible.
I've got you've got 2 resources in play. You've got your loaded Katie and a Rolodex. I'm really gonna snatch and grab that Rolodex.
Yeah, like, God, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's alright,
I mean,
man.
not every
okay.
card can be good.
No. I don't know.
But the problem is that we've gone through this list, and it's sort of doing them all at once. It's jumped out how few of them are really good. That's the main problem. When we do the Anarch section the Anarch version of this, we're going to see a different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The scale's really tipped, right? Like, Criminal was on top, and like I said, maybe it is a downfall when an ID is released and they just put so much boost into that one ID for that cycle, you know, rather than drip it out across more versatile. Because you look at everything that was in there. You look at the, we even said the console is not really, he's not really using it anyway, right? But all those you basically got 3 programs in there that were Geist related. The other abilities in there, the Murtos had the trash thing to help him out. Gang Sign was related to his, thematically it was his card as well.
Look, what I will say is, like, I really liked the SanSan Cycle. Okay, so a couple of things I really liked about it is they put stuff together. Like before with stealth and stuff like that, they spread it out over a long time. They put a lot of stuff together in this cycle, which we can see here with all that Geist stuff. I like that. And I also like that in general, they've been less shy about bumping up power and just being less conservative with their design. So the reason Criminal hasn't gotten great stuff here is because Criminal was the #1 faction, undisputedly, for like 2 years, right?
Right.
And just destroying everyone. So, you know, we're looking at this as disappointing, but the rest of the cycle, we've seen some really cool stuff happening.
Yeah.
Are we poised to see the return of Criminal?
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe. Like, inherent, you know. I don't see it right now, but we don't know what's coming out.
I think, and I mean,
Lila's good against fast draw. There's a lot of fast draw, which is likely, according to, you know, the internet. Lila's good against that. Bank Job, Desperado really good against that. So that it's meta-y.
Yeah.
Hollis, you gonna talk for your buddy Dave and just say that Criminal never went away?
Oh well, hold on. Let's be fair. This is Dave Hoyland we're talking about, right?
Yeah,
so, when you get third place at Worlds with Lila, like versus a matchup full of Glacier, like you're probably doing something right. You're playing very well because those matchups are not easy. But like
he plays phenomenal. He plays Criminal phenomenally.
He's freaking good. Yeah. But like, I think they would have to, as far as the feature of Criminal, I think, and I hate to say this, I'm so sorry, FFG employees. I think you guys would actually have to try to make the Criminal support worse in the next cycle. Like, I think you might have to actively try, because I mean, like, if we were to look at it, we may only call, 3 cards out of the list that might be worth playing, right? Career Fair, Drug Dealer,
Gang Sign.
Yeah, and yeah.
It's like legitimately seeing play at high levels. We have Career Fair and Drive-By and not Drive-By, Career Fair and Drug Dealer and like one Drive-By in some lists. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like if we also look at it, those cards, while Career Fair can be played in, definitely Career Fair can be played in Criminal. I'm seeing more because I've seen so few Criminal decks now. I see Career Fair more in Anarch than I do in Criminal decks because there's nobody's playing them.
It was, I believe it's one of those situations where it gets put in Criminal to balance it properly.
Yeah, it's like cash or cash.
Yeah. So, Hollis, like you said, or what, like you're alluding to, it just wasn't that phenomenal of a set here for Criminal. They gave you a style of play with Geist, and they gave a lot of support for him. And if you didn't like it, there wasn't really a lot to pull out other than, like, I'd say Drug Dealer.
Yeah.
I'd say Career Fair, and then Gang Sign were the top 3, and everything else was just.
Well, Dave's Leela deck from Worlds, I think, from memory, was only up to All That Remains. Like, I don't think there was anything from this cycle at all. I think it was the most recent card was the dog. I can't remember the name. Yeah, Cerberus, whatever.
Rex.
I can't remember. Oh, it's Rex. Yeah, Rex. That's it.
Yeah.
I think that was the most recent card in it. So, Criminal, what I'm saying, had the power cards for a long time, as we've talked about. Yeah.
Well, yeah, as it deserves. It's got to ebb and it's got to flow. It's got a yin and it's got a yang, right? Like, they just can't keep making the best factions better.
Right.
So use this time to open the design space, put a little flavor out there, and kick it from there. Guys, from my perspective, thanks very much for everybody that joined in here. Off the cuff, we had a great turnout. We didn't really announce that we were doing this, and we had a great turnout in the chat. Yeah. That was our breakdown of the Criminal SanSan Cycle. Again, if you do have some spare coffee money and like to pitch it over to the Patreon and support what we do, that's always appreciated. If you're in Toronto around the 27th of February, you want to go check out face-to-face games, go do that. Make sure you tell them that Bad Publicity sent you. Hollis, you got any closing thoughts there for the cycle in general, or any notes?
If anybody out there is still heavily playing Criminal over the past, I want to say, year or so, a lot of props to you, because it has not been easy. The game has changed so much around Criminal, because it was the dominant. So if you've been sticking with it and you've been practicing a lot, I think Miles hit the nail on the head. If NEH has been back in a really big way this time because Kate's gotten a little weaker. I think Criminal might just get the little bump they need. That might just be enough.
Miles, what do you got in closing thoughts here? You got the final words.
Oh, yeah. I'm really looking forward to doing the other factions. I think look, I really like Leela. I really like what Dave Hoyland's been doing with Leela. I think with Fastro, we may being popular. That's potentially, you can see some more. Also, I got stomped by Ken Temnadek at the store championship yesterday. So
Wow.
Leela's potentially strong. So we'll see what happens. But I'm looking forward to talking about the rest of the cycle and some upcoming stuff. And yeah, should be fun.
Perfect. Everybody, thanks again for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
See you guys.
Goodbye.